That's the main. All right, now, so here we want to talk about vital signs. Vital signs. Now, these are the signs that these are the things that we must use in order to write well. We must use when we are, speaking. We must use them when we are also reading. You would use it to demystify some part of your reading and use it to demystify some part of your listening. So number one is cohesive device. So this shows relationships between words, sentences, and paragraphs. Cohesive devices show relationship between words, sentences, and paragraphs. All right. So there are several subcategories in vital signs. There are several subcategories. The first subcategory that we can see here is to add information. When we are discussing a particular point, there's a very huge tendency that we want to discuss the information discuss other information apart from an earlier information that we are given. So we have the tendency to say, in addition, to bring in another information. So here we can use in addition, additionally, moreover, furthermore, similarly. Now, let's, can you also give us an example of other words that can be used here?
Muscle.
Muscle.
Also.
Muscle, all right.
Also.
So the other person, could you please give us another word that can be used here? Okay, okay, Mr. Akira, can you speak? No. Ms. Oshulina, I'm waiting for you. What you raised up your hand? What do you want to say? Hello. Hello. Okay, let's move on. Now, sorry. Now, Mrs. Busari, are you the one who gave me the response that I said muscle?
Yes.
All right. I don't know whether it's network that is keeping like me. All right, so let's move on. So if you can hear me, Miss Bukola, please kindly respond and let's know where you are. See. All right, so let's go on. Let's go on, please. We'll get them, recorded so they can have it. Okay. So muscle. So we have the second subcategory, which is although, even though, however, though, nonetheless. Now, we must understand that the list is inexhaustive. What I mean by that is that there are so many of these examples of this here. There are several, not just here, they are everywhere on the internet. So can we have the words that can be used to show contrast from you, Mrs. Busari?
You since you have nonetheless, you can say nevertheless, or is that correct?
Nevertheless is correct.
Okay.
What about
How about meanwhile?
meanwhile? We can go for while.
Okay,
WHILE.
while.
WHILE. You can go for in contrast or contrastingly. You can go for conversely. I hope you're writing them down. All right. So there's a subcategory of question advice that shows emphasis. You know, how you use in fact. That means you would have said something and you want to put some some intense intensity into what you're saying. Then you go, in fact, or you go, especially, particularly, in particular, even. All right. So you want to put emphasis on that particular thing. You want to put on that particular item that you are discussing about, that it has an advanced form of work. Oh, okay. We didn't log out the other time, right? But let's go. Let's continue. Let's continue. So then here we also have sequencing, which you use to show the order in which some events happen. All right. So sequencing is one of them. We also have, let me add one more here. We also have the subcategory where we show reason, consequence, you show reason, consequence. So to show reason or consequence, we can say as a result, I see we can write as a result. You can say
Therefore.
due to this, yes, therefore comes in due to this, but I won't take therefore in. You know why?
Okay.
I'm expecting that we're going to be using less common words.
Okay.
Less common words. Now, and comes in here. Also comes in here. But I want words that are less common, that are not commonly used. I hope you understand. So less commonly used words. As a result, due to this, owing to, and because it's under word that I can bring in, but I'm not going to bring because in. I'm going to bring it in a different manner. I'm going to say because of this, because I don't want it to sound the usual. I hope you get me now. Because of this, and I want to have consequently. Consequently. Okay. So yeah, now let me say that the list or the subcategories of cohesive device are very many. The subcategories are very many. There are so many subcategories. One of the first assignments you're going to have to do is to dig the internet and bring out as many subcategories as possible. So, but we are not there yet. So, cohesive device, you should be able to use them when you are speaking, not when you should be able to use them when you are speaking, when you are writing, when you are you should be able to use to discover your answer in your reading and your listening. All right. I hope you understand, ma.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's go um, to subordinate clause. Subordinate clauses. So these are clauses which need other clauses to make sense. They need other clauses to make sense. That is to say, they cannot make sense on their own. They need the help of other clauses, other group of words to make sense. So let's say, for example, if you came home, I will take you to our office. Okay, if you come home, sorry. If you come home, I will take you to our office. Now, at this point, can I change the comma to full stop? Will it be correct that way?
No.
Good. It's not going to be correct that way because it's a subordinate clause. It needs the other part on the other side of the comma to make sense. I hope you understand.
Yes.
All right. This one that every other person have left you and it's only you in the class now. You're just enjoying
I don't
yourself.
understand.
Hmm?
I don't understand why it's like that.
Well, maybe one person
I
has
don't
said,
know why Ross is not talking.
well, I don't know too, but maybe I should try to call and see whether she, but I don't want to put a
But
call
they're
through.
coming online. It's showing 3 participants.
Well, I don't know why she's not on. Let me pull a call through to her. Okay, I think she's having some, okay, I'm finding it difficult to mute the mic, so that's the issue that she has. Okay, so can we move on? All right. So now to do your subordinate clause, you should be able to, you know, of the subordinate clause. You'll be able to. So this how to that's want to mirror or show ourselves how we can create subordinate clauses. So look at this simple sentence. He is from a rich family. Full sentence because it has he, which is the subject of the sentence. It has is, which is the verb, and it has rich family, which is the subject and the object. Okay, or let's say complements of the subject. That's English, but we don't want to go into all of that because they are not directly related to what we need to do in IELTS. All right, now let's move on. So he is from a rich family. He lives like a pauper. Now, looking at these two questions, two sentences, you find out that one is positive in nature and the other one seems to be negative in nature, which means that to bring them together, we'll have to bring something that has to do with contrast, something that is antagonizing, a question device that shows that they are not mutually exclusive, they are not together, they are antagonistic to one another in a way, they contrast one another in a way. So he's from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. So the subordinate clause would be, although he's from a rich family, that's a subordinate clause, he lives like a pauper. So you find out that despite the fact that although he is from a rich family, seems longer than he lives like a pauper, it still does not have the properties to be called a full sentence. It is still a subordinate clause, and it needs even a seemingly shorter sentence to make sense. However, sentences are not in their length. Sentences are not made due to length. For example, get up is a sentence, but is a command. It's a kind of sentence that is a command, but it's short. It makes complete sense. For example, go would be a sentence because it makes complete sense. So it's not in the length, actually. It's in it having all the properties to make sense. So let's move on. So here also you have another example using the same sentence. It says, despite being from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. What this is trying to tell us is that as much as all the words under each subcategories can be used interchangeably, they are not supposed to be, how do I put it now? They can be used in the same way. They can be used interchangeably, but they can be used in the same way. Although he is from a rich family, if I have to switch although with despite, it has to go despite being from a rich family. They can be used interchangeably, but they cannot be used in the same way. So I need you to understand. That's why in this part, you should understand everything that you need to understand. You should understand each of your words. You should understand each of your vital signs very well before you move on with them. All right, let's move on. So let's see what other students are saying. Okay. So can you hear me now? How about now? And if there was a part, okay. If there was a part that you didn't quite understood, could you please indicate it so that I'll go back to it so that we can all have full understanding. Okay. Now, contrasts. I was saying that here it is very, very possible to have how do I put it down? Okay, in order for us to be able to make this, because there are two sentences that are contrasting, You've got to bring a contrast, a word that shows contrast into that sentence. And that's why we have, although he is from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. So, although he's from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. Now, of course, although and despite, now I'm talking about this one, although and despite can be used interchangeably, but they are not, they can't be used in the same way. Though they can be used interchangeably, but they cannot be used in the same way. Okay. Can you probably log out and log in again? Maybe that's network now. I think you should quickly do that so that you might even have the issue of the microphone settled in that case. Go in mute again. All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. All right. So what I was saying before is we are looking at how to combine, how to make subordinate clauses. Now, the first thing is that we had two simple sentences that are contrasting in nature. They are not mutually exclusive. They are not supposed to go together in the same boat because they do not have the same elements in them. One has a positive element, the other has a negative element. And so they are contrasting. And because of this contrast, we are liable, or we're expected to bring in a contrast in order to, settle in order to make, to balance the relationship between them. And that's why here we are. He's from a rich family. He lives like a pauper. And then they brought in, although he's from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. Yeah. Oh my God, still breaking. Okay. I should think maybe the network from your end is the issue, because if others can hear me from here, it means the network issue is from your end. Oh, okay. All right. So let me restart. Let me quickly restart, please. Oh, let me just hold on. Let me just. So Hello, can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me? So can you hear me now?
I can hear you from here.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So here you have to bring in contrast because the two words are not like um, in consonance with each other. They are in dissonance with each other. They don't have this correlation. So one is a negative, one is a positive. So you have to bring a contrast there. All right. So moving on, we said that despite can be used to replace although. However, both cannot work the same way, despite the fact that they can be used to replace one another. They cannot work in the same way. All right, they cannot work the same way. They you see the same sentence but different coercive device. So although he's from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. Despite being from a rich family, we can't say despite he is from a rich family. Despite being from a rich family, he lives like a pauper. So you must understand the different vital signs, the different what's it called now, elements of vital signs. Whether under coercive device, you must understand how to use additionally, how to use however, how to use particular, how to use owing to this, how to use because of this, how to use consequently, how to use all of these different um, what's it called now, words. So then number three, I hope we are done and understand. We understand that one. I hope we really do. I hope we are okay with that. Can we move on?
Yes, sir, we can move on.
Yeah.
From here.
All right. Okay. Now, please, anybody who has any question, you are free to, you know, call our attention and take us a little bit back.
But you said we can't use despite being in this aspect, but I don't know why. You didn't give reason why we can't use despite.
No, I didn't say you can't use despite being. I said if you have to use it, it has to be in a different pattern. You can see, although did not have being, but despite has
can't start from the
being.
beginning.
You can't use it in the same way. That's what I'm saying. You can't use although. Yes. You can't replace despite with although and use it exactly the same way you used although.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. So now I want to try to move us up to the number 5 so that we can typically give assignments at number 5. Now, number 3, you have relative clause. Relative clauses are clauses that are headed by words like who, whose, whom, where, when, that, and the compounds of these words like whatever and whomever and so on. You know, we can't have that ever anyway, so that one does not have compounds. But you can have whoever, who, I think there's whosoever, no, whosoever, yeah, there is a possibility, whomever, wherever, whenever, and we could even have however you want it, all right? But then these are the typical ones that we know that are very common. So you are meant to using these words in a sentence, not sometimes not starting a sentence, because if you use who starting a sentence, you are probably going to start asking a question. So we're not talking about question here. We're talking about using them in a place where they can relate back to a word. For example, Mr. Adelan does not like working with people who procrastinate a lot. So who here is referring back to people who procrastinate a lot is telling us about the kind of people Mr. Adelan does not want to relate with. So relative clause is also one of those, vital signs that you should come across, you should make use of. All right. So, and relative clauses are a kind of subordinate clause because it cannot stand alone. You can't say who procrastinate a lot. There's no finite verb, so it doesn't make complete sense. But Mr. Delan does not like working with people. Even with that, is Mr. Delan does not like working with people is a complete sentence. But who procrastinate a lot isn't a complete sentence. All right. So then it goes, I like going to places. Another example, I like going to places where I can listen to motivational speeches. Where I can listen to motivational speeches is a relative clause that is referring back to where, to places. So who should refer back to? A person. Whose should refer back to the possession of something or someone. Whom should refer back to a person acting in the objective form. Where should refer back to a place. When should refer back to a time. That can be human or referring back to human or referring back to a thing. All right. So it is very important you are able to use relative clause also in your listening. Is another important part of your vital signs. So number 4, collocation. Collocation. Collocation simply means words that go together, words that work together. All right. Now, typically you have the adjective and the noun collocation. So you have handsome man. You can say handsome woman. All right. You can say beautiful lady. You can't say beautiful man. All right. So adjectives that work with noun in that regard. Then you have adverb and verb, where you have shooting sporadically, crying profusely, walking briskly. So you have adverb plus verb. You should be able to use the right words. You can't say shooting indiscriminately. It will be wrong to say shooting indiscriminately, as much as, yes, words sporadically tend to have the meaning of just shooting, in quotes, in our own pidgin English, anyhow, shooting anyhow. Okay, but then you can't use the word indiscriminately because they don't go together in that case. Okay, you can't say crying heavily, for example, because they don't go together. But you can say crying profusely. All right, all right. But you can say it's raining heavily. Fine. Okay, but then so you need to know the words that go together in order for you to use them appropriately. All right. So you have this other one, nouns plus nouns. Okay, giant stride, both nouns. Another one, just saw one now. Let's say paycheck. Paycheck. You know, it's not pay as in money, but pay as in your remuneration. Okay. Okay, sweating profusely is correct too. Sweating profusely. Doesn't that mean profusely is only for watery stuff? Okay. It's a good observation. It's a good observation. Sweating profusely, crying profusely. So what other water producing action that can go, human water producing action that can go in that regard. I can't think of anyone, but that's a possibility, and I'm going to really look into that and find out the veracity of your idea and probably give us a feedback next time. I just hope I'm able to do sit down and do that research. But it's a good observation. That's a good one. All right, so let's move on. So we talked about paycheck. So nouns plus nouns. Okay, what about verbs and prepositions, where we can, in other words, call them phrasal verbs? You know, what are phrasal verbs? You have a verb on this side and you have a preposition on this side. So you have take up. You take up a challenge, take in someone or something, you know. Maybe you brought in somebody to your home, a homeless guy to your home. You took the person in. Somebody who you squatted somebody, or somebody is squatting with you. You took the person in. To take off, or you know, a project to take off, depart at the takeoff or departure. All right. So to take out, you can take a person out on a date. You can take trash out, dirt out, as in trash, and you can also eliminate something. To take something or somebody out, it means that you are eliminating that person. All right. So there are several of them. There are so many, so many, so very many of them. There's so much of them. So much. So you need to, be able to go through them. Now, quickly, number 5, because I'm running with this time so that we are done before it expires. So passive voice. Let's say the man killed the dog. That's subject and object. Passive voice. The dog was killed by the man. The dog was killed by the man. All right. So sometimes the usage of passive voice shows that although you're not expected to use passive voice so much, but usage of passive voice shows that the person who's writing is an advanced level writer, and we're expecting that you use passive voice in your work. Now, let me quickly say this: that your assignment would be that you read up all that has been written, all that has been done. We have done at least 5 vital signs out of 21. Let's still go into 21. We have done 5 out of 21. So I'm expecting that you how do I put it now? Let's see. This is your assignment. Your first assignment